Most men aren't great men. They could be, but they're not putting in that work yet because they're just doing what everyone else is doing. We have to do something different. We have to critically analyze what we see on a daily basis and what we are being encouraged to do by broader society and what we're being encouraged to do by social media and the news and all that kind of stuff, and actually ask ourselves, is this best for me?
Hey mate, I'm Coach Mitch and welcome to the Unbreakable Man podcast. It's my goal to help you achieve excellent results in the area of your health and physical fitness, your career or business, your relationships, and in your own personal passions. This is going to be your one-stop shop if you are the kind of man who wants to achieve his fullest potential in life. And the only way to do that is by becoming unbreakable. Hey mate, and welcome to today's episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. Now, if you are joining me in today's episode, then I just want to let you know that this is a two-part episode and you're currently listening to the second part of the episode. So if this is your first episode or you haven't listened to the previous episode, I would recommend scrolling up or scrolling down, whatever platform you're on, and clicking on part one and listening to this chronologically, because that's going to just set you up nicer for this episode as well, obviously. So if you have listened to part one, then you will know that we're talking about the 12 skills of a great man. And in the first episode, obviously, I spoke about the first 6. And in this episode, I want to go through the back 6, okay? So just a little recap. The first 6 were great physical health, learning how to keep yourself in great physical shape. But I did make a little adjustment to this, and I want to add on the fact that it's equally as important, and they're both very important, to keep yourself in great mental shape as well. The next thing was learn to fight. You may debate me on this, and I'm more than happy to have that conversation in the comments down below, but I think that is absolutely crucial if you want to be a great man. I'm not saying learn to be violent. I'm not saying necessarily learn to be aggressive. I'm saying have the ability to do this, have the ability to defend yourself and your loved ones. Number 3 was identify distractions and addictions. Knowing these things in your life, some of these are more subtle than others, and that's the reason why I've specifically said identify, because you don't always see them until you sit down and actually think, well, shit, that actually has a big impact in my life and it doesn't give me anything good or positive. The next one there was learn how money works. I honestly can't believe that we aren't taught how money works in schools. In fact, I can believe it because I don't think that school is designed to help us become successful. I think school is designed to keep us in our place. But it is our responsibility, if we want to be great men, it's our responsibility to learn how the financial system works so that we can play by those rules and create wealth and success for ourselves so we can have a great life with our family. Number 5 was create a great network. Honestly, none of what you see about Unbreakable Man, you know, if you're watching this, obviously the podcast, but the website, what we do every single week in the gym, all the events that we do, none of that would be possible if I didn't have a great network. So, my success in my life, I can wholeheartedly credit to the beautiful, amazing, quality, talented, successful people I have around me. And the last one I got on here is play the comparison game correctly. We're always going to compare ourselves to others. It's a natural part of who we are. And it's not necessarily bad, but there's a right and a wrong way to do this. If you want to find out how that is, go back and watch part 1. Now, the next 6 skills on the list go like this. So first one on here, and that is, if you had this skill only, like even if you didn't know anything about how to make money, you weren't physically fit or healthy or necessarily a good role model in those ways, if you were just a great communicator, you would have an amazing life. That is how important and weighty of a skill communication is. Being a great communicator, you can get anything done, literally, because you have the ability to convince and influence other people around you to help you move towards the things that you're trying to accomplish for yourself, right? So obviously this, being a great communicator, you don't want this skill in the hands of someone who is a bad actor, because they're gonna They end up manipulating people and honestly hurting people. But if you are a great person, which is most people, and you're a great communicator, then you're an unstoppable force for good. You're a fantastic father. You're a fantastic friend. You're a great leader. You get shit done. And you bring ideas to life because you're a great communicator. So that is just a mind-bogglingly important skill for every single guy to learn. And it doesn't come naturally. And once again, this is not something we're taught in schools, but it's like right up there with, we should be taught how to look after ourselves physically and mentally in school, and then we also should be taught how to communicate effectively with others in school. Those should be two classes, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked biology and I liked history and all this other shit, but those things are never going to be as relevant as looking after ourselves inside and out, and also learning how to communicate with others. It's criminal that those things aren't taught to us from an early age, but if we want to learn them, we have to take responsibility for that. And if we want to be a great man, there's no other way. Learning how to be a great communicator, that's power. That's true power. And that gives you the ability to change your life in almost any way that you see fit, and change the lives of others in almost any way that you see fit. So obviously, with great power comes great responsibility, but I think most people are good people. You learn how to be a great communicator, you will change your life for the better, and others for the better as well. Next thing on this list, and this is going to be an interesting one as well, learn how to attract women. Every single men's evening that I've done, and that this topic has always come up. I've asked guys, okay, what do you want? What would you love to change about your life? And almost every single time someone says, I want to have a great relationship. I want to have a loving, passion-filled relationship with either my current partner, or there'll be single guys there who want to create that themselves. And learning how to attract women, that is a real fucking skill, okay? Don't believe the narrative that women are something beyond our ability to understand as men. We absolutely can, but we're going to have to do some study. We're going to have to study the ladies that we're trying to attract, and learn how to be attractive to women. That's absolutely crucial. If you want to, and that's not just, and look, it's not just about attracting women. That is the first step, but then it's also about maintaining lasting, long-term, loving relationships with them. I work with predominantly guys in their 40s, and so many of them have had divorces. So many of them have, or even just have marriages where, that sort of, when we all hear about it, right? The flame dims over time and all that kind of stuff, and there's not that much passion anymore. There's not that much intimacy anymore. I think as a dude watching this as well, whether if you're in a marriage, or if you've been in a marriage, or perhaps you're a younger guy, but we all know about you don't have sex anymore once you're married kind of thing. It's like a joke, but it's rooted in fact, right? That's not what we want to have in our lives. So it's not just about attracting women, it's about being able to create a lasting, loving, long-term relationship with the woman we choose to be with as well. But I think that, doing a lot of the other stuff on this list is going to make you more attractive to women as well. But not only that, it's also, again, communication being probably the main one, really. If you're a great communicator, then you're a great attractor of women. Even if you're not necessarily, really handsome or in really great physical shape, or even have a lot of money, if you're a great communicator, women love great communicators. But if you're also successful and physically fit, and doing well in a whole bunch of these other areas, and you're a great communicator, then you're going to be attractive to women. But that is an absolute skill. That is something you need to learn how to do. That's not something that's going to come to you naturally, or if it does, then look at you. Certainly didn't come naturally to me. That's been something I've had to literally read and study to get good at. And I suppose that if you're a guy watching this right now, why would you want to read and study it Well, consider this. There's a particular kind of woman that you want to be with. You know, you have your ideas of your dream girl, right? Now, you may be able to create a relationship with a girl, but she might not be your dream girl. And I think that starting out with an idea of who you're looking to be with, getting clear on that, and then getting clear on who you would need to be in order to attract someone like that. I think that's a really important part of the process, because I think a lot of people, and not just men, but people in general, settle for what they can get in a relationship, and only later down the track do they realize that, fuck, this really wasn't worth it. You know, I'm not happy in this relationship. I thought I could be okay with this. You know, obviously I do love her, you know, if it's a guy. I do love her in this situation, but she's not the one for me. Or you know, there's multiple factors to creating that outcome, but with this particular factor, getting clear on who it is you want to be with, what kind of person you want to be with, and then who you need to be to attract that person is really, really, really important. And, you know, learning those skills, like, again, literally reading about the experiences of guys who are good at that, and learning what it is that they do, how do they communicate with women to create that spark of attraction so that they can create a relationship. That is what I would recommend for you, my friend. Go and do some research. There's probably a bunch of books on each of these topics. I might even comment down below with a list of titles that you could check out. So look in the comments below this, or look in the description below this for some books on these topics. Next one on there, this is one I seriously need to do. I mentioned in the first episode that I'm not perfect with each of these skills. I don't have all of these 12 skills myself, which is why I'm on the journey to becoming the greatest man that I can be. But one of them that I don't have right now is learn the laws of your country, which is kind of obvious, right? Yet we're never taught that. Seems kind of silly, doesn't it? We live in this country, we have to abide by these laws, but we're never told what the laws are. We're never really taught exactly what our rights are, for example, and what we can expect in certain situations. You know, for example, I mean, if I would, and this is a thing for me, might not be a thing for you, but I would advise caution in this area. I'm going to be honest. I have a lot of kind of hang-ups when it comes to marriage, for example, because I don't know what my rights are if I was in a divorce as a man, because I think that as men, it's no secret that we don't typically do as well in divorce as women, right? So before I get married, you can fucking bet, if I get married, before then, you can fucking bet that I'm gonna know inside out and backwards exactly what the laws are in Australia, in Queensland, when it comes to marriage, and what that entails for me, and and what that means for the future in any scenario. It's important, if you're going to make a decision, that you know exactly what your rights are and you know exactly what to expect in a legal sense before you start to make those moves, because otherwise they can come and bite you in the ass. And then afterwards you go, oh, this is ridiculous. This is so unfair. It's like, dude, you made this decision. You didn't do your due diligence and figured out what this actually meant for you before making that decision. So learn the laws of your country. And that was just one example. Obviously, there's many, many more examples. We can talk about tax law and certainly, at the very, very least, your human rights in this country, what you are constitutionally, what your rights are in Australia, if you're an Australian citizen. That is something that we all should know. So that would be a place to go after this episode. Next on this list, and it kind of links up with the one before that, but know what's happening. And what I really mean by that is know what's happening in the world or in society as a whole. Have an understanding of where things are headed. Be capable of predicting future outcomes based on what you're seeing today. If you want to position yourself and your family safely and securely, then it's up to you to keep up to date with what's happening in the world. The phrase ignorance is bliss, I would say maybe initially it's bliss, but it's ignorant people who are unaware that they are being scammed, that they are being manipulated. Those are the people that get scammed and manipulated. Now, being aware of these things may not be very blissful, but it also protects you. And, for myself as a man, as I'm wanting to be the greatest man that I can be, and, certainly one day being a father, I consider myself the protector of my family, and it's my obligation and responsibility to protect my family from anything that happens. And you may think that as, a single individual man, you have no power, but you have the power of learning what's happening in the world and trying to create some reasonably accurate foresight on what's going to go down. So knowing what's happening in the world, and that's not just about avoiding bad things, but even seeing trends, even seeing opportunities in the world, even seeing, oh cool, I can see society's going this way, and this technology is going to kick off in the next 10 years or something like that, so maybe I should invest here. Those are the kind of things that knowing what's happening can do for you as well. Don't just amble through your life, boys. Make sure that you are privy and aware of the way things are going. Next thing on here, learn critical thinking. And this is, it's obvious, to be able to critically analyze information that comes to you. I don't think it's it's certainly not a skill that I think is taught at school. I think that's by design. But what I mean by this is when someone presents some new information or a new idea to you, even if it sounds real good or true, don't immediately accept that information. Even if that person seems credible. I'm not saying that they're wrong. Maybe they are right. And hopefully they are, right? You want people being honest with you and telling you the truth. However, before you accept anything as truth, analyze the thoughts, analyze the information a little bit first. Have a think, does that actually sit right with what I currently know to be true? And that doesn't mean that maybe what you currently know to be true is actually incorrect and this is the right thing. And that's okay. Then you get to adjust and improve and grow as a result. But don't immediately assume that that's the case. That's what critical thinking is all about. Because once again, those who don't think critically are the kind of people that can be manipulated, are the kind of people that can be scammed. People who aren't critical thinkers, because you're much more likely to just go with the flow, to just go with the herd. There's look, this would be a really good way to explain it. There was an experiment that they did on, they did one on humans, but I'll talk to you about the one that they did on monkeys, right? And in this experiment, they had all these monkeys in a room. There's maybe 3 or 4 monkeys, and there was a ladder in the room that went up to a ledge, and on top of that ledge was a banana. And every time the monkeys climbed up the ladder, the scientists would hose the monkeys with water, and they would get all cold. So it was like a punishment, right, for climbing the ladder. And eventually what was happening is that the monkeys would physically attack any other monkey that climbed up the ladder because they all got sprayed when one of them climbed up. So they were teaching them not to climb up this ladder, right? And slowly what they did over time is they would swap one of those monkeys out for a monkey that had never been in the room before. And that monkey, obviously not knowing the rules of the game, would climb the ladder, and they wouldn't even have to spray the rest of the monkeys because they would all just pull that monkey off the ladder and start beating up that monkey for climbing the ladder, because he didn't know that they were going to get sprayed, but they didn't actually get sprayed. They stopped spraying them at this point. And eventually they'd done this enough times so that every monkey in the room had actually never been sprayed. They'd never been punished for climbing. They'd never been sprayed with the water for climbing the ladder. But every other monkey in there had just pulled them off the ladder and beaten them up for climbing it. So none of them actually knew why they were pulling the other monkey off and beating them for climbing the ladder. because none of them had ever actually seen the original punishment for doing so, but they were just falling in line with what all the other monkeys were doing. And what that experiment was really designed to show is that if we don't critically analyze what's happening in our life, it's way too easy to just end up going with the herd, to just end up following what everyone else is doing. And bear in mind the fact that most men are not great men. Let's just be honest. Most men are not super successful. Most men are not smashing it across the board. You and I could be some of those men. I'm working on it myself. I hope that you're working on it too. But most men aren't great men. They could be, but they're not putting in that work yet because they're just doing what everyone else is doing. We have to do something different. We have to critically analyze what we see on a daily basis, and what we are being encouraged to do by broader society, and what we're being encouraged to do by social media and the news and all that kind of stuff, and actually ask ourselves, is this best for me? And I'm not saying that we don't get a lot of good stuff from social media and the news sometimes, but all I'm saying is don't just assume it's good for you straight away. Stop and actually think, is this going to be beneficial for me in my life? Does this actually make sense? Or am I just doing it because that's what everyone expects of me? So learn critical thinking. Now, the last one on here, number 12, is present yourself well. I always think it's interesting when people say something like, I don't care what other people think of me. Because I think that's bullshit. I think we all care what other people think of us. Maybe not what everyone thinks of us, which is really good, but we definitely care about other people's opinions. Because if every single person in the world had a really negative impact, a negative opinion of me, then my life would suck. My life would be really crappy if that were the case. Because we're a social creature. We want to fit into the group, and we want to feel good, and we want to have good times with other people. So I think we all do care exactly what we all care what other people think of us. And it's just about finding the balance between caring what other people think of us, but also, most importantly, caring what we think of ourselves. So with this one, present yourself well. That means present yourself in your truest form, in your most aspirational form. So the best that you can do right now. What is the best foot that you can put forwards right now? How could you present yourself as the kind of guy that you want to be? Maybe you're not that guy right now, but what actions could you take to start to present yourself as that man? To start to live in accordance with the kind of lifestyle that man might have, and start to slowly over time present yourself as that man. Because here's the thing, if you're the greatest guy that you could possibly be, you're in great physical and mental shape, you're successful, you have a loving, beautiful relationship with a woman that you absolutely adore, you're a great protector, you are informed on what's happening around the world, and you know how to position yourself correctly so that you're producing the best outcomes for yourself and the people you love. If you are that guy and the world sees you as that guy, only more good stuff can come from it. Present yourself well. Care, even just simple things like caring about your appearance. Looking after yourself physically. Again, being in great shape. That whether you like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, it does make a big difference. When we see someone and go, wow, that person's really fit. That person's really healthy. That's an admirable trait. Even if, and that's not to say that we necessarily have the exact opposite. It's not to say that someone who is not in great physical shape doesn't have a lot to offer. It's very true. However, the perception is definitely different. When we see someone who's in great physical shape, we already know that person has certain habits in their life that are admirable habits. We already know that they do at least a few things that are certainly positive things. And that's before we've even spoken to them. So presenting yourself well, even just with your appearance, makes a big difference. Obviously, simple things like personal hygiene and making sure that you've got a decent haircut and you just don't look shabby or anything like that. all that stuff does make a big difference. It does change people's perception of you. And at the end of the day, everyone else in your life only ever really has a perception of you. They never really know exactly who you are. Only you know that. Everyone else just has a perception of you. They all just have an idea of who they think you are. And if you want to have a positive influence on other people in your life, then it's important that the perception that you give is one of positivity and is one of competency. So present yourself well. That is something that great men do. They present themselves really well. And it's not just about appearance, it's also about confidence. And again, that comes back to, learning to defend yourself gives you an air of confidence in just the way that you walk, talk, and act. So, it's a range of things, but presenting yourself as the man that you want to be, your most aspirational version of yourself that you can think of right now. And that will change as you grow and improve too. But those are the 12 skills of a great man. Now, I'm not saying that that's an exhaustive list. I'm sure there are definitely other skills that you might be thinking about right now that weren't on this list. If that's the case, comment those skills down below. I'd really love to know what you'd like to add to this list, what you didn't see on here that you think is, well, there's a great skill that you haven't put on the list, Mitch, so let's get that on the list. I'd love to hear what that is. Comment down below. If, just like last time, if you disagree with anything on this list or you'd like to add to anything that I've said in this episode, then comment that down below as well. This is a forum for open discussion, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. And going back to something that was on the first 6 skills as well, about creating a great network, and I mentioned this in the last episode, once again, if you don't know anyone who can help you become the fittest, strongest, and most confident man that you want to be, like you don't have that mentor, you don't have that example in your life, you're listening to this podcast right now, you're literally talking to someone who might be able to help you out with those things in your life. And even if it's not me, maybe there's another guy that you could be listening to that could help you with it as well. But if you do think that I have the ability to help you take those steps, and a very simple thing that you could do right now would be to email me with your questions or just to have a chat at mitch@unbreakableman.com.au. All right, mate. Thanks for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Cheers. Hey, mate, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Unbreakable Man podcast. If you did, it would be absolutely fantastic if you could leave us a 5-star review, because that's going to help us get our message in front of more men who need to hear it. Now, if you have some feedback for me, I'd love to hear that too. Comment down below. And if you just need some mini doses of Unbreakable Man motivation throughout your week, then you can follow us across all social platforms. On Facebook, it's Unbreakable Man Challenge. On Instagram, it's Unbreakable Man _challenge. And on TikTok and YouTube, it's just Unbreakable Man. Your support would be absolutely invaluable. Now, last but not least, do not forget, men aren't born, they're built.